Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Fraser Planning Commission for May 5th, 2021. Calling the meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. If you'll join me in starting our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll now read the notice of electronic public meeting. Michigan Department of Health and Human Services issued an order on March 19, 2021 that limits indoor gatherings at non-residential venues, and the Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity issued emergency rules regarding remote work by employees when feasible. In addition, the City of Fraser has declared a local state of emergency due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. To ensure against violating the indoor gathering restrictions and in the interest of achieving the goal expressed in the MDHHS order and the MDLEO rules to protect the public health, particularly during a local state of emergency, the Fraser Planning Commission will meet electronically on May 5th, 2021, in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, using Zoom for video conferencing and public access. This notice is required to ensure that those wishing to observe and/or participate in the meeting have the opportunity to do so. The public can participate via the Zoom application, internet access via the Zoom website, and/or via telephone using the Zoom telephone number and meeting ID. The public will be able to hear Planning Commission members and will be permitted to speak for up to 5 minutes during the public participation portions of the agenda. Please note that callers and viewers will automatically be muted and must remain muted until called upon to speak by the chair. Written comments will be accepted prior to the date and time, no later than 4:30 p.m. on the day of the meeting, by the building department at zoning@micityoffraser.com, which is the method by which members of the public may contact members of the public body to provide input or ask questions on any business that will come before the public body at the meeting. Public hearing comments will be heard during any public hearing that is conducted during the meeting, and other comments will be heard or reviewed during public participation. In the event of a change in the status of statewide or local states of emergency, the Planning Commission meeting may be changed from a remote meeting to a live in-person meeting to be held at Fraser City Hall, 33000 Garfield Road, Fraser, Michigan, 48026, on the same date and at the same time. The city will post notice of any change in method of conducting the meeting from a remote meeting to an in-person live meeting, and/or any change in the meeting place for this meeting to the city's website at www.ci.fraser.mi.us. Interested parties should periodically check for such changes or contact the city clerk's office at 586-293-3100. City of Fraser thanks all of you for your understanding and support as we attempt to navigate these challenging times together. With that said, we'll move to roll call, agenda item 2. I want to remind the members to include where they're remotely connecting to our meeting from. Is it Paul that are you conducting? Are you taking care of that? Or Sarah?
I offered to do the honors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this
one more
okay?
time?
One
yes,
more time.
exactly.
Thank you.
Commissioner Barr. I didn't hear Commissioner Barr's response, and I need to get into a larger screen. I think, Commissioner Barr, can you try one more time to unmute?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I'm here.
And from what county and municipality?
I'm from Macomb County, and this is remotely for the City of Fraser's Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cook is
he's running late. He will be here. He's got a medical situation in the family.
Great. To Attorney Andrews, when Commissioner Cook joins, will Chair Warnock ask him to state where he's attending from? Would that make sense?
I'm sorry, what was that question?
When Commissioner Cook joins the Zoom, should Chair Warnock ask him where he's attending from,
Yeah.
the next chance he gets? Okay.
Yes, that's a good, yep.
Commissioner Zarnecki,
I'm present, attending remotely from Macomb County, Fraser, Michigan.
Commissioner Farina,
Frank Farina, attending remotely from Fraser, the city of Fraser, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Kyle,
I'm here remotely, Macomb County, City of Fraser, Michigan.
Secretary Perry,
Kenneth Perry Jr., attending remotely from the county of Macomb in the city of Fraser.
and Chair Warnock.
Randy Warnick, attending remotely from Macomb County in the city of Fraser, Michigan.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Traxler. So we'll go to agenda item number 3, the approval of the agenda. Is there any discussion or comments? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I have one item, Randy. I wonder
Yes,
if
Frank.
we could ask Paul to give us an update on some of the open projects that are going on in the city. The Dairy Queen, the building in the parking lot of the ice arena. And I'd like to talk a little bit maybe about if anybody in public safety has looked at what's happening where Taco Bell is and the Starbucks in the parking lot of Myers.
Should we do that when public or when commission members to be heard, or to add it to
Sure.
that?
Sure.
Why don't we just add it to that if
Okay.
Mr. Urbio can update us on that stuff. Okay, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, any, no other comments? If so, anybody want to take a stab at approving it?
I'll make you approve minutes for Wednesday, May 5th meeting as printed.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have motion
Are
by
we doing the
Commissioner.
minutes or the agenda?
Agenda.
This is the agenda.
Yeah, the agenda. Sorry.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Kyle with support by Commissioner Perry. Let's do roll call, Ms. Traxler.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnecki,
Yes,
Commissioner Farina,
Yes.
Chair Warnock,
Yes.
Commissioner Kyle,
Yes.
and Commissioner Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Traxler. So number 4, we'll go to agenda item number 4. It's opening remarks. Tonight's meeting will follow the agenda that was posted online. Before we begin, it is important to let everyone know that the Planning Commission is created by state law. The commission is comprised of 7 members, all of whom have volunteered to serve. Members are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by city council. When roll call is conducted as we did previously this evening, the Open Meetings Act requires each member who is attending remotely to announce the following: attending remotely from what county, township, or city or village, and in the state of Michigan, if that's the case. The role of the Planning Commission is to plan and promote the efficient, coordinated development of the city for the health, safety, and general welfare of its residents. We are not here to negotiate with applicants or allow everything an applicant is requesting. However, the Planning Commission does have the power to approve certain requests and recommend others, depending on the nature of the request and whether all the standards in the zoning ordinance have been met. The Planning Commission may also impose conditions on a proposed project in order to ensure that those standards are met. Other individuals that are here attending this evening are representatives from the legal firm of O'Reilly Rancilio PC and representatives from McKenna and Associates. Procedure followed by the Planning Commission for public hearings first involves the city planner providing an overview of each case. After the overview is completed, the petitioner will be asked to provide additional information and answer any questions the commission members may have. After the commission's questions, the public will be invited to speak. Each person will have one opportunity to speak, must only speak directly to that specific case, and must only address the commission, not the petitioner or anyone else in attendance. After the public has had an opportunity to speak, commission members may again ask questions of the petitioner, and then the commission will consider a motion. Now that we've gone over these guidelines, we'll begin our agenda for this evening. Move it forward with agenda item number 5, which is approval of the minutes of, I know we have to, for March 3rd's meeting, there's a corrected minutes for February 3rd's meeting of this year. Do we need to, Clark, do we need to,
You do not have to, you do not need to reapprove the corrected minutes. Once they've been received, you don't have to reapprove them.
so we just note them as being received?
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
so we have received those. But if anybody has anything, any discussion on them, we can still add that to the discussion. So is there any discussion on the minutes of March 3rd? I don't see anybody. So if not, I'll accept a motion to approve those minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of March 3rd, 2001 Planning Commission meeting as printed.
I support. This is Kathy.
Okay, I think that's 2021, no, not 2001. So we'll make that official for March 3rd's meeting of 2021. So it's a motion to approve by Commissioner Kyle and supported by Commissioner Zarnecki. Can we do roll call, Ms. Traxler?
Commissioner Kyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Farina,
Yes.
Commission Secretary Perry,
Yes.
and Chair Warreneck.
Yes.
Great, motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Traxler. So we go on to our new business for tonight. It's exciting. We have 6A, public hearing on our master plan, proposed master plan. If you could, Mr. Urbio, are you presenting this or Ms. Traxler?
Ms. Traxler and Ms. Bouchard will be presenting.
Oh, and Danielle. Okay. If you could first, because if there's anybody watching, or they will be, because these are recorded, can you go through the process from beginning to the point we're at today real
Mhm.
quick?
Definitely. Danielle, I can't remember if we had a slide on that or if you would like me to do it in narrative form.
We do not have a slide on it.
Okay, great. So beginning in 2019, the city initiated this master planning process. And the Planning Commission had a handful of meetings. During your regular meeting, you conducted sort of mini workshops during them, if you'll remember, where we started talking about goals and objectives. We started talking and making plans about public engagement. And then also we started talking about important planning themes that the plan should address in terms of aligning with goals and objectives about mobility, complete streets, additional housing options for your younger and older residents, current and future, and kind of, thinking about livable communities. And we talked even about some planning frameworks like the AARP Livable Communities framework. So during 2018, we were really setting the stage for the planning process. In 2020, we began, studying. Oh, and in the fall of 2019, during the fall festival, I think it's called the Harvest Festival or something similar. We conducted an open house right at City Hall in the, I think it was in the fire station, one of the fire bays, where people were coming through and talking about their vision for how the city would develop. In 2020, we were beginning the existing conditions analysis and demographics and so on and so forth. And then, of course, the pandemic began, and we had an approved survey, actually community survey, that was, I believe, the Planning Commission approved in your meeting before we went remote and everything kind of happened. We were working on that in January and February of 2020. So during the summer months, we kept on kind of, working, and spring and summer during 2020, we were working on filling in the blanks in terms of describing, the people who live here, the physical conditions of the city. And then finally decided towards the end of the summer that since we weren't sure what was happening with the pandemic, instead of waiting for everything to be over, we should still move forward with the survey, even though it would be completely virtual. So in August, we launched the survey. We received, I think, somewhere around 300 responses, if memory serves, in the draft document. And we're able to incorporate a summary of those survey responses, and then, kind of share with the Planning Commission any resulting recommendations or adjustments that might be needed from the master plan. But all in all, I think that the responses we received were very consistent with the direction that the Planning Commission was thinking. So between the fall and this time, especially towards the end of 2020, we, as you all remember, really ramped up the preparation. You conducted 2 meetings per month, I believe, in November and December, and possibly even in October, so that you could get a full draft finalized to your satisfaction right at the end of the year. During those times, we were adding additional detail and focus on the central business district of the city, on the Groesbeck highway corridor, and then kind of really focusing in on neighborhoods, and then also physical improvements that would really help connect your neighborhoods together. So I would say that in addition to making sure that the future land use map was appropriate, we were really focusing in on kind of some sub area or special area planning during that time. I believe it was in January or February, I can't quite remember. Planning Commission was comfortable with asking City Council to distribute the plan per the requirements of the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, which is the state law that you're required to follow, and which you have followed through this process. So in, I think it was in February, we presented the draft plan to City Council. And City Council was very supportive of the ideas that were included in the plan, really liked the direction, and decided to distribute it to surrounding communities, again, per the requirements of the Michigan Planning Enabling Act. Per the act, we had to have 63 days before you could conduct your public hearing, which of course is tonight. And during that 63-day period, we were waiting for the possibility of comments to be turned in to the city, either from public or from your neighboring jurisdictions. The state law requires that the notices are sent to the regional planning organization, the county, your neighboring municipalities, all of them, and then any utilities or some other kind of special infrastructure type organizations. And, of course, we have record of all of those letters. The only response that we received was from the Macomb County Department of Roads, and they had some non-substantive feedback, which did not require an adjustment to any of the ideas or planning principles, but rather just some, kind of housekeeping items. They found a couple places where we still were calling them the Macomb County Road Commission rather than Department of Roads. So they asked that we make that adjustment. So that was the only written feedback that we received. And this evening is your public hearing. Just as a reminder, And for those who may be watching from home or in the audience, a master plan is a 20-year vision for how the city will develop. It is a policy, and it is distinct from zoning because it's showing how the city elected and appointed officials wish for the city to develop over time, whereas zoning tells you how your property may be used today. So your master plan is the legal foundation for zoning, but it's future facing, whereas zoning is the regulations. And of course, other local codes are the regulations that tell you how you can use your property right now. So that is the process that we've been through in a nutshell.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to officially open the public hearing at 7:24 p.m. And is there anything you want to state before any members make any comments?
We did put together just a handful of slides. I think Danielle focused them on the goals and objectives of the plan, just in case there is any substance that the Planning Commission wanted us to go into. But it's up at your pleasure.
Okay, if everybody's in agreement, we'll just proceed with that. Sounds good. Yours,
Great.
Danielle.
So we'll just briefly discuss the general highlights of the 2021 master plan and all the work that you guys have done throughout this process. Some of the important topics that we've considered through the master plan include this list below, with a special emphasis on sidewalk connectivity, non-motorized transportation, emphasizing and promoting the growth and development of the CBD core and fringe, policies in place for aging in place, and emphasis on the AARP livability guidelines that promote walkability, neighborhood connections, that kind of thing, zoning improvements, and then the housing diversity and edge and transition areas. Some of the highlights of the master plan, as you guys well know, support the growth and development of the CBD, as I mentioned, that emphasis on a fully connected and accessible city for all modes of transportation, including pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists. The encouragement of mixed land uses along the growth spec corridor, as well as within the CBD core and fringe areas. Promoting sustainability and beautification, which kind of goes along with some of our zoning recommendations for signage improvements, building and site design standards, and the related aspects, and continuing to maintain that high quality of life for residents, businesses, and visitors. We want to also, make sure that we're supporting the already stable neighborhoods in Fraser. I apologize, the slide is a little busy, but some key concepts on the future land use, as you guys recall, the transitional residential, which is kind of that plan for those missing middle housing types, and a hope to transition from higher density to lower density housing typologies. And that is shown in kind of that dark yellow on the map here. And then again, the CBD core and fringe core is planned to be your more so traditional downtown, which is shown in the dark purple. And then the fringe is a mix of planned single uses, which is in that lighter purple that kind of surrounds the core area there. So that'll be planned areas that kind of transition outward from your traditional downtown into those, higher density to increasingly lower density neighborhoods. And then lastly, the Flax Corridor District Overlay, which surrounds the growth spec corridor. The plan here is to promote a mix of commercial, industrial, high quality building and site design for development and redevelopment opportunities. And I think, this kind of goes along with the Clinton Township growth spec plan, and then we'll get into the City of Roseville plan as well. So this kind of supports that region-wide vision for, more high quality and development and redevelopment along the growth spec corridor.
And I think that was the last slide.
Oh, that's
Oh, is it? I'm sorry. I couldn't remember if I had one more or not.
Is there another?
Sorry, Paul.
No, the next slide is the proposed motion for when we're ready for that.
Great.
Okay. So any members have anything to add?
Yeah, I think that the book is great. I think it turned out really, really nice. And I hate to bring this up, but on the page of acknowledgements, I see a couple mistakes on there. First one is, my name is spelled wrong. It's Keil instead of Kei. And then the other one, I'm not sure. They have Kathy down as the chair. And I guess, go by when we were working on it. But if they have Kathy as the chair, then I was the vice chair at the time. So either, I need to be put up there, or Randy needs to be put up there as a chair. And that's up to, I don't really care that way. But the book overall, I think you did a fantastic job on.
Thank you. I remember we made adjustments to this page, so I fear that our graphic designer grabbed the old version of it.
Yeah, because it was brought up. I brought it up before.
Yes, so we will most certainly make that adjustment.
And either way, it doesn't matter to me.
I actually think that someone made the suggestion that we actually make a note of the leadership, the Planning Commission leadership that had been involved in the planning process. So I think that there's a way for us to finesse kind of that additional acknowledgement if there's interest in that.
Understand. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, do we have anybody in the public then that has joined and wants to be heard?
I believe we do have at least one member of the public.
So let's take it to the public then. I see some unmuted. Or they're muted. Okay, there's one. Ken Bennett. Is Ken there? Ken, are you out there? If you're out there, your mic isn't working. Just want to give everybody any opportunity. So I know there's a lot of times where we haven't had the public sharing any comments, I think because of being Zoomed. And I'm sure that's been a drawback for some. So I want to make sure any public's out there, give some time and make sure we hear what you have to say.
Mr. Bennett, if you could hear us, maybe you can call in and try to join the meeting that way. I'm not sure if you can hear us.
Okay, but you're showing that he's here, right?
Correct.
Can we get a visual or anything?
I've just asked him to start his video.
Oh, something. There he is. Hi, Ken. We still don't hear you. We see your mouth moving. Still can't. I can't read lips. So
on your agenda, maybe we can try on your agenda. Dial one of the numbers on the agenda, and then you can use the meeting ID and passcode and join by your phone.
Okay, looks like he's dialing. I still don't hear anything. Sorry, Ken, I want to hear what you have to say. Ken's a long time business owner in the city of Fraser, well respected.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes.
Paul, of course, conducts office hours at City Hall, and I believe that Mr. Bennett is the property owner with whom you spoke on Monday. Is that correct, Paul?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. So Mr. Bennett, kind of lacking a different solution, would you be comfortable with Paul kind of sharing what you mentioned to him, summarizing it on Monday? Okay.
Okay, we
Okay.
can see you nodding.
Okay, and then I'll watch Mr. Bennett, and you can, I guess you can nod, or you can shake your head if I say something out of turn. But I believe the conversation with Mr. Bennett was with regard to the golf course that he owns. Is it Warfield Hills? And I apologize. I'm the golf course off of Utica Road that in the future land use map is designated as transitional residential. And I think Mr. Bennett had a concern about the ability of the golf course to continue and his ability to, I think, eventually when he decides to pass it on or sell it as a golf course use, and his concern that the transitional residential might interfere with that continued use. And also, we just had a discussion about what the transitional residential land use really entails and how that might interact with a golf course use. And
Can I ask
Mr. Bennett was
what
nodding
you,
in general.
what you shared with him?
Well, so I explained that the future land use, as as Sarah had mentioned earlier in the meeting, is a sort of a policy recommendation that the zoning is not immediately changing today. And I explained that the transitional residential idea is to address a problem that many communities across the country are dealing with, which is a lack of diversity in housing types. And it's intended to allow for to support residents at all stages of life. It's intended to get more density closer to commercial areas and commercial corridors, and just we had agreed that Mr. Bennett was planning to come to sort of communicate his reservations at this meeting, but I tried to convey that the property is not immediately being rezoned, that there will be process, and that in fact the plan recommends the future land use as a new the transitional residential as a new zone, but the work to design that is to be done after the master plan is adopted.
Is that okay with you, Ken?
Ken, do you want to? Ken? Why don't you, Ken, if this is okay with the board, Ken has me in his cell phone, and if he calls me, I can put the phone by my mic. Does that
Okay.
help?
Sure.
You want to do that, Ken? Call me?
While Mr. Bennett is calling Chair Warnick, I just verified the current zoning of the subject site. On the slide actually that you're looking at, you can see the
Okay,
golf
Ken.
course where it has.
Hold on.
Finally, I can't get.
Okay,
Zoom thing working.
are you ready then? Go ahead.
Uh,
Can you,
Well, Paul paraphrased pretty much my concerns. And one of my concerns is if I should decide to sell the golf course as a golf course, I will be in non-conforming zoning. And after 62 years of continuous operation, they're projecting to change the zoning that permits me to be the golf course without asking anybody's permission. And I'm grandfathered as a golf course because I was there even before the city was there. But I don't know what that noise is. And I appreciate the effort that you're making to communicate with me. But my question is, if I want to sell that as a golf course, I need the permission of the city because it was considered non-conforming zoning to continue it as a golf course. If they change the zoning. Right now, it's zoned recreational, which permits the app.
So
That's what my questions are.
Mr. Chairman.
I think you have to turn your volume down out on your computer and then it'll be a lot clearer. There you go.
Mr. Chairman.
Better?
That's better.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman.
Sorry about this technique. My technique on Zoom is not good, obviously. I appreciate the great endeavors that all of you are doing to include me in the meeting, and I'm thankful for that.
Okay, Mr. Andrews, you had something to say?
I just wanted to say or kind of clarify or reiterate that the master plan is not going to make your property non-conforming.
I don't hear anything.
And when
You got it. Sorry, hold on, Clark.
Right.
You do need some volume on there then to hear him.
All right, I've got some volume now.
Okay, go ahead again, Clark.
What I was going to say is that the master plan is, as Sarah and Paul have said, is a planning tool, and changing anything on the master plan does not make your property non-conforming from a zoning perspective. And in the future, the city may very well be amending its zoning map to be more consistent with the master plan, and if and when that happens, that would really be the appropriate time for you to come forward and comment on how that might impact you, because the master plan change is not going to by itself or have any impact on your ability to continue to use that as a golf course or to sell it as a golf course. And so if in fact it's proposed to in the future to change the zoning of your property to be something more consistent with this master plan, then you should come forward at that time and express your feelings about that subject at that point in time and what impact that might have on you. As you probably already know, even if the zoning were changed, your ability to use that as a golf course as a non-conforming use runs with the property and continues even if there's a change in ownership. However, there are some instances where that may impact somebody's ability to get financing to buy your property as a golf course. So that's something that you should look into and be prepared to comment to the planning commission and the city council if in fact it's ever proposed that the zoning of your property is to change. But the master plan does not make your property non-conforming and doesn't have any direct impact on your ability to sell it as a golf course.
And if he goes for rezoning, it would be noticed. He would be noticed.
Absolutely.
Right. I've been a real estate broker for in excess of 30 years. And my experience has been when somebody goes for rezoning, the standard argument is this is what the master plan is. We're just following the master plan. That's why I'm concerned when you're making the master plan, because the other shoe that drops in all the cases that I've seen is that we're just following the master plan and the rezoning. Are you gonna put it in writing that I can continue without? Is there a set of meetings for minutes for this meeting?
Yes.
I mean, the Zoning Enabling Act and the City of Fraser Planning Commission, zoning ordinance clearly indicate that something that is lawful at one time, if the zoning ordinance is changed to make it unlawful because of the change in the ordinance, that somebody is able to continue to use that indefinitely, provided they don't expand it or do things to change the nature of the use. And Paul and I can send you excerpts from the zoning ordinance and the Zoning Enabling Act, which is a matter of state law, that support that belief.
I understand that, but my question is, why can't my zoning remain what it is for now, which is recreational, which you are proposing to eliminate after 60 years of doing business and investing in my business, both my life and my money. And you are jeopardizing it by this type of zoning, is what I'm saying.
What I tried to explain is we are not changing the zoning at all. If that comment is directed at changing the master plan designation for your property, I think that probably Sarah or Danielle can best answer that question. But because if the master plan designation of your property is changing and you want an objection noted with respect to that, maybe Sarah or Danielle can comment on that, or Paul. But this action tonight is not going to impact the zoning of your property or your ability to use it or sell it as a golf course. But
are you going to have minutes published in this meeting?
Yes.
I didn't hear that question.
Are there going to be minutes published of this meeting?
There will be minutes that are made available with respect to this meeting. Absolutely.
And there's a video also.
I thank you very much. You've given me a chance to express my thoughts, and I thank you for that.
Thank you for participating.
Thank you for having the meeting. And again, I intend to work with you as much as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else in the public? Does anybody want to address anything else that was said by Mr. Bennett?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead, Kat.
this is Member
Chairman
Zarnecki. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would encourage Mr. Bennett also to inform Mr. Bennett that there will be a public hearing at the city council level also, so he can participate there. Okay, and oh gosh, I was going to say one other thing, but now I forget what it is. But I do understand his concern, and just support that. Believe in what the city attorney is assuring you, that we are not changing your zoning at all, that you will be able to use that site as a golf course. But and I was going to ask Mr. Erbil to confirm that we haven't received any other communication in writing. That was my other concern. And that's it, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Erbil, did you want to answer that?
Yeah, we have not received any other communication in writing.
Okay, so nobody else in the public has any comments?
I have a question based on Mr. Bennett's. I'm looking at all of these different areas and shadings, and where would recreational be included under these? And why isn't it considered part of transitional?
If Chair Warnick, I think you would be happy for me to answer that question.
Yes, please,
Okay,
Ms.
great.
Traxler.
So, there are things that I started thinking about when Paul shared that Mr. Bennett came to City Hall. I think that there's a few different approaches that the city could take. One is, do nothing to make adjustments to the master plan, knowing that the zoning is not being affected by this, and that we suspect that the city wouldn't necessarily preemptively and proactively go about rezoning all the parcels that are inconsistent with the master plan. What I have seen in a number of my client communities is that when they're implementing the master plan, what they do with the new zoning districts is to write the standards, to publish a map that shows the parcels that would be affected by this new option for this new zoning district, send those property owners a informative letter. It's not a public notice because the city isn't proposing to take any action on it, but let them know that this new zoning district is available to them if they wish to exercise their ability to rezone their own property. That seems to be something that would be consistent with Fraser's values, where I don't believe that Planning Commission and City Council would just sort of again preemptively rezone all of the parcels that were inconsistent with the master plan. You're a built out community full of property owners who enjoy their current zoning status. And if they don't, they have the ability to come approach the city to rezone their property. So I see you implementing this by writing your new zoning districts and then informing folks that they're available to apply to be rezoned. The second thing is that I think a second option, other than just sort of leave it the way it is to include private recreation, including the site in the park or open space future land use designation. But given what we know about the fact that Mr. Bennett and others who might be similarly situated are legally able to, enjoy the current use of their property, and that no one has talked about the city rezoning properties, I don't know that that's necessarily the tack that you would like to take. We've talked about there not being a lot of large sites in the city that 20, 30 years down the road would be available for this type of housing development. So, our thinking when we wrote the future land use map was, let's be conscious of the frontage and keep that commercial on the future land use map so that they could kind of enjoy that, the land uses that in the zoning that is analogous with the commercial frontage. And because we know that many golf courses that do end up, unfortunately going out of business, not that we're suggesting this would, but we don't have our crystal ball for 30 years down the road, that many golf courses are actually redeveloped for residential. So it just sort of was a site that was able to, really kind of accommodate uses that the Planning Commission has identified as desirable. So those are the couple of things that I've had on my mind since Paul shared Mr. Bennett's comments.
Okay, but my question is this. There are other recreational things in the city, the coin-op place that we approved, okay? That is not in a recreational area. It's in a different zoning district. What stops a golf course from being in a transitional district? Nothing, right?
Nothing.
Okay.
Oh, well, it depends how I'm sorry. Right now, nothing stops Mr. Bennett from using the property, and it's fine in its current zoning. You could choose to write the new transitional residential district to include recreational uses. For example, they could be a special land use where it just depends on the site that it may be appropriate, to give you another level of review. I think that would probably be more appropriate than making it a permitted use, but at least, it could be accommodated. So, there's a lot of different approaches you could take, but even if you make no change to this future land use map, I wouldn't foresee there being a single problem from Mr. Bennett's perspective. I don't envision city leaders thinking, we need to make a change and we're going to just kind of proceed with a very aggressive tactic. Again, I can't speak for elected and appointed officials, but based on my observations and the values that we've kind of encoded in this policy, I think that could be a fair statement to make.
So if we look at this from a different view, like real estate wise or sale, it now opens up actually more options that if it might be more desirable to other people if it does go for sale, because now they could still sell it as a golf course and it stays a golf course, or they can sell it, and we've already got in the master plan a mixed use having commercial in the front and a residential in the back as an option. It would be easier for that to be rezoned then, right? Am I looking at that the right way? So this could be better for a future sale.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, Clark.
I think generally that is true with one pretty significant caveat, and that is that many times when mortgage lenders decide whether they are going to finance a sale, so let's say that he finds a buyer that wants to buy it as a golf course, and it's allowed to continue to be used as a golf course, but sometimes lenders are a little bit reluctant to make mortgage loans on non-conforming use property for the reason that if the thing were to burn to the ground, for the sake of discussion, the clubhouse or whatever, if it was non-conforming as it related to that particular part of the property, it would not be allowed to be rebuilt without a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals, because generally speaking, non-conforming uses are not supposed to be encouraged to survive. You can't tell people that they can't continue to use it for that purpose, but they generally are not allowed to expand. And in the event that there is some catastrophe that takes out part of the use, they are not allowed to rebuild it if it's non-conforming without getting some variances from the city. And So that's one of the reasons that sometimes property owners are concerned not about the change of the master land use category, but concerned about their property being rezoned to something that would not be a conforming use. They generally would be allowed to continue to use it as it is, but they can't expand it. And in the event that, say, a structure that was that was on the site that was on a part that was non-conforming, they if that were to be destroyed by fire or any other reason, tornado, weather, whatever, it would not be able to be rebuilt without getting a variance from the city. So that's a reasonably important consideration, because many times when people sell property, the buyers have to get mortgage financing in order to be able to afford to purchase it. And in many instances, the lender may even ask the city for a zoning compliance letter that says that something's entirely in conformance with the zoning laws of the community. And if it's non-conforming, then the zoning administrator would need to point that out to them, which has an impact on the expandability and or replacement of structures and uses in the event that they are somehow destroyed.
Clark,
Yes.
Go ahead, Frank.
I don't see that is being applicable here because it's entirely built out around it. He can't expand. And there is nothing to replace except trees and grass and a sprinkler system, you know.
The whole thing is mute, really, though, that it's not non-conforming right now, and it wouldn't be
Right.
non-conforming unless it got rezoned.
Right.
So this whole thing comes back to rezoning. With all that Clark said there, it really doesn't mean a thing if it's not rezoned.
Right.
So I think right now it stays the way it is no matter what. It's not non-conforming even if he sells it as a golf course. So
You are correct about that. I was assuming that, for the sake of that discussion, that once the master plan was adopted, that the city council, after planning commission public hearing, were to decide to rezone his parcel to be consistent with this transitional zoning, and what if the zoning classification that it was rezoned to did not permit golf courses, then he would be allowed to continue the golf course as a non-conforming use. But in the event that something that was there got destroyed or whatever. Now, I remember as a kid going and playing golf there, and it seemed to me at that point in time there was some sort of a building on the site. Is there no building there now? Wasn't there once
there's
a
a
restaurant
building.
there? What?
Oh, it's a shack. There's
The building is there
the office, yeah.
to pay for golf and have a coffee or whatever.
But the restaurant's part of the commercial district, and it's
Okay,
closed.
well then that wouldn't be non-conforming anyway. So that probably makes it a much lesser concern.
I got Ken back on.
I think that your point, Randy, is pretty well taken. That if he's allowed to continue the use, and he picks up some transitional uses as well, he probably has more options with respect to that property than he may currently have.
Okay, I've got Ken back on. Do you want to respond to anything, Ken?
Well, basically, you expressed one of my major concerns. Let me turn down the volume. you expressed one of my major concerns. You know, I can't improve it. I can't add on to it. I can't do things if it becomes non-conforming. I can't replace, if the equipment building burns down, I can't replace it. If, you know, yeah, and they'd have to define for me what's transitional too. And one of the things, when I read the new master plan, it says they want to preserve recreation. If you look at the map, this is one of the largest recreation areas in the whole entire city of Fraser, and people come from miles around to utilize this. So how would that be conforming to the master plan with your desire to keep recreation if you make it non-conforming that I can't improve it or enlarge upon it in the meantime? You know, I'm just expressing my concerns, that I'm not just out of the sky blue saying I'm against this plan, but this is blatantly telling me that they're going to change the zoning. That's what their desire is, and I'm saying, yeah, and if we define what the terms of transitional are, that's important to me too.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Please, Ms. Traxler.
Yeah. So right now, this site is zoned recreational district, REC. Your REC district is actually lumped in with your residential districts in your current zoning ordinance. Permitted uses in the REC district are all uses in your small lot residential district. So homes are actually permitted in this zoning district right now. Okay, that's the first permitted use, is all permitted uses in RM. The second is private parks and outdoor recreational facilities. And the third is signs and nameplates. So, you know, it's basically saying you can develop homes here, you can develop private parks and outdoor recreational facilities. So that's the current zoning. The current zoning allows residential. The proposed future land use designation is a policy that is described in this proposed plan. The zoning district has not been written yet. And this is the type of input that could go into writing that zoning district, as I mentioned earlier. When the narrative is being developed, you would consider the parcels in Fraser that are planned for future transitional residential. You would consider their current land use, and you would consider whether in certain circumstances, something other than residential would be desirable or you know, even complementary. So Attorney Andrews' discussion about non-conforming uses, I think was in response to Chair Warnock's point that, you know, this could actually kind of confer additional value to the property owner and open up additional opportunities for them were they to wish to sell. But my point is that currently residential is already permitted on the site, and
Okay.
we're calling that out as the future vision for this site. But I don't actually think that that precludes the city from writing in private recreation if it is a certain lot size, for example,
Right.
as a special land use. I mean, I think that when you're going through and creating the zoning district, you would most certainly consider this parcel and its relationship to the rest of the zone. And I guess, you know, I don't, I can honestly say that I don't think that there's much risk for the property owners as the plan is written. You know, completely putting myself in their shoes. I also, as I mentioned earlier, I just would like to say that in a lot of my client communities lately, when they're going through and implementing their master plans, they're writing the zoning district in the text and giving the property owners the option to rezone, not rezoning, as is the city's right. So that seems to be something that I could see happening in Fraser as well.
Well, I appreciate the concerns, and I want you to understand my concerns. And I would be happy at any time to sit down with you people and be part of this and be able to work with you to see if we can work something that's workable. We've been working here. We opened in 1959, and we've been working very hard to keep a business running and compatible with the town which I grew up in. And we'd like to keep the good relations that we have had. And we'd like to work with you on working out these bumps.
So through the chair, it might be nice to hear your options for this evening, because I think, you know, setting out the next steps is important. Tonight is the only required public hearing. I wanted to address something that a member noted earlier. Per the state law, the city council actually doesn't conduct a formally noticed public hearing. It would be a regular agenda item for them to consider adopting the plan by resolution. So this is the public hearing that is required by the statute, and there's not a required public hearing at city council. In terms of your options, you know, you receive public input, you receive comments logged at a public hearing, and you decide, you know, what is most appropriate for the public health, safety, and welfare. You know, as the appointed body, you decide whether the map and the text are appropriate for how you believe, based on public input and this careful study and analysis that you've undertaken over the last over a year, whether this is the right future policy, land use policy for the city. So you may choose to adopt by resolution the master plan this evening, which the resolution, you know, recommends passing it on to city council also for their adoption. Or you may choose to, you know, close the public hearing and give direction for, you know, adjustments to be made to the draft. So I think, you know, based on what we've heard this evening, I don't feel like a planning mistake was made. So, you know, I don't think that there is a mistake, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that is the direction that you would like to take. So I hope that that's helpful.
If I hear you correctly, Sarah, what was said earlier is that if we go forward, if the city council approves this, it would eventually come back for definition of this land use, this type of land use. And at that time would be the time that it would be written in as to what that land use would be.
In the zoning. So
In the
your
zoning.
zoning, yep, which
Right.
is what tells you how you can legally use your land.
And that's why we don't see it on any of our maps right now on this one.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the recreational zoning district, you know, I can't remember if it was a future land use designation in your 1990 master plan. But you know, we have a park and open space designation, you know, which is really the city parks, which we are projecting out should stay as a park or an open space. You know, this is a commercial enterprise that you know is an important, you know, element of the city of Fraser. It doesn't play the exact same role as a public park that is, you know, free and open to all residents. So I don't think it's appropriate to place this, for example, in the park and open space future land use designation.
Well, I agree.
Which would be kind of the other one, you know, that people might have been wondering about.
Right.
Go ahead, Ken.
I was going to say, on the state map of Michigan, the golf course is marked as a recreation area. So anybody buys a map that's published by the state of Michigan, it shows clearly Warfield Greens as a recreation area, a golf course. So it's something that affects people miles around here, recreation.
Okay. So the biggest thing I think here is rezoning being initiated And as far as what I'm hearing from Sarah, it is most places don't initiate this. It would probably be the landowner that would initiate it for rezoning.
You know, again, I can't speak to the choices that the planning commissioner and the city council would make.
And I
All right,
appreciate
hold on.
giving me the opportunity to voice my concerns. And I think we've covered many of them, and I think that's a good beginning.
Thanks, Mr. Bennett. I'm gonna
Again, I
hang
want
up.
to thank everybody from my heart. for their help.
Thank you for your input tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Sarah, did you want to finish up something, or were we good?
No, I'm sorry, Chair Warnock, I forgot where we were before Mr. Bennett was thanking you for the opportunity.
I think we just talked about the initiation of the rezoning and the chances of
Yes.
it being like council.
Well, planning commission makes recommendations on the zoning ordinance. So city council they can't undertake an update of the zoning ordinance on their own without your participation. Of course, they're the ones who have to adopt any laws because they're the legislative body and zoning is a law. Now, if you all decided 2 years from now that you wanted to be that proactive, and say, okay, we're going to rezone every piece of property in the city of Fraser that doesn't align with the future land use map, that is, certainly a power that the city of Fraser has to zone property. I was just kind of speaking from my experience in that it's very rare that at least my client communities, just kind of haven't implemented their master plans in that way, especially where it's scattered sites. Okay. If you're making a new form-based zoning district for an undeveloped area in a township, that's very different scenario than making adjustments to, text and design guidelines in a fairly built out community like Fraser. Here we're going in with surgical adjustments, tactical adjustments, rather than coming up with a specific design plan that needs to be implemented in zoning for undeveloped land. I don't think that it's anyone's interest to elevate the subject property, the golf course, to the point where the city's going to come up with a conceptual design plan, write a new zoning district for it, but rather just sort of generally wants to provide a framework for how it might be reused in the future if there are different changes or tastes in recreation, if there are different provisions of recreation or open space. If there was something, with the business owner where they, simply didn't wish to operate it or sell it as the current use. It's the city's responsibility to investigate what the, land use that's most aligned with your desires as stated in the plan are for the site and up to this point. And also, kind of as written into current zoning, since you see that residential is allowed in the zoning district, I think we can even say that it's consistent with the current zoning. It's just a little flipped and reversed.
If anybody comes for a zoning map, they're going to get that still as recreational.
Exactly, which
So
permits
this is only in
residential.
the master plan as a suggestion more. The good thing, if you look at that whole area, it's still all Mr. Bennett's, even where the commercial is. So the chance is, there's not one portion there that's commercial already that's going to want to change something, or it's all his. So that whole shape there, including the frontage on Utica and the frontage on French Creek, is all his property. So as far as things are concerned, it's recreational. It's not only going to be initiated by him, or if the planning or zoning did it, it would be that, and it would still come to him first. I just want to make that clear. Nothing gets rezoned without a hearing.
Absolutely.
So nothing's going to change there. I think it's, I think if everybody understands that and nobody thinks differently, I think we're okay, and I think we can continue. Is anybody in a disagreement?
Nope.
All right, so there's nobody else left in the public, right? So we're back to the review and next steps, which would be after hearing the commission may act, to adopt the plan by resolution and recommend the same by city council. And
I have a question.
Yep.
If I want to make the motion, do I have to read that entire resolution, whereas? Or do I just make the motion, be it further resolved?
You should read the whole resolution.
Okay, before you do that, Frank,
Yep.
I want to stop because I see Commissioner Cook here, and I need Commissioner Cook then to tell us where he's connected from and remotely, and so that we can formally add him to the roll call. Are you there,
Ready?
Mr.? Yep.
Don Cook, residing from Macomb Township, City of Fraser, Michigan. If I remember correctly.
Macomb County or Macomb County or
County.
Township?
Macomb
Did I say
County.
township?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Macomb County, City of Fraser in Michigan.
Okay, great.
Thank you. All
Sorry
right.
about that.
Sorry for that, Frank, too. I just wanted to make sure we
No,
got
not a
that since
problem.
I saw him there. All right, now we're official. Go back, Frank.
Okay, whereas the Planning Enabling Act, Public Act 33 of 2008 as amended, provides for a city planning commission to prepare and adopt a master plan for physical development of the community, and whereas the City of Fraser Planning Commission has prepared such a master plan for the city's physical development in compliance with the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, including the relevant charts, maps, and text, and whereas the Fraser Planning Commission has provided multiple opportunities for public participation in the planning process, and whereas the Fraser City Council approved the draft plan for distribution, and subsequently the master plan was so distributed for review by surrounding communities and other public agencies as required by the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, and whereas the Fraser Planning Commission held a formal public hearing on the draft master plan on May 5th, 2021 in order to provide additional opportunity for public comment, and whereas all comments received during the planning process have been carefully considered and the Planning Commission is satisfied that the master plan is ready for adoption. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Fraser Planning Commission hereby adopts the Fraser 2021 Master Plan as presented at the public hearing held on May 5th, 2021, subject to incorporation of some typing errors that will be corrected. Some typing errors that will be corrected. Be it further resolved that Fraser Planning Commission directs the Commission Chairperson and the Commission Secretary to sign this resolution signifying the adoption of the Fraser 2021 Master Plan, to file in a attested copy with the City Clerk, and to request that the Master Plan as reviewed, if applicable, be replaced on the next available agenda of the City Council for consideration and adoption consistent with the Michigan Planning Enabling Act.
Thank you. I would consider that a motion then for the resolution of adoption. And from that, is there anybody that supports?
I support, Mr. Chair.
Okay, who was first there?
I support it, but either way.
Okay. I would say Council or Commissioner Zarnecki, you came across the most, so we'll put you there since John was so active already. So we got a motion by Commissioner Farina, supported by Commissioner Zarnecki. Let's take a roll call.
If I may, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
a question for Attorney Andrews. I believe that the public hearing wasn't closed.
Oh, I'm
Could-
sorry. Yes.
Could this
So
just be sort of the same, part of the
Yeah.
same motion?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
And this is to be enacted after the closing of the public hearing by the chairman. Is that
Wonderful.
all right?
That's
Okay.
fine.
Are you support that, Commissioner Zarnecki?
I do, yes.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, Commissioner Farina,
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Kyle,
Yes.
Secretary Perry,
Yes.
and Chairman Warnick.
Yes.
Congratulations.
So we've gotten through this long
Congratulations
process,
to you.
and yeah. So
I'd like to say that I think that the McKenna group did a great job on this, and the finished product is really a tribute to the community, and the planning commission did a great job of processing it and providing its input into it. And I think that this is a document that's going to help the city of Fraser go forward into the future. I think it's been a little challenging that they haven't had an updated master plan since, whatever year it was, and they got partway there before, but didn't get it across the finish line. And it's great to have this done.
agree. Finished product is phenomenal. You put
It
that
is.
next to the old one, and it's just stands out so much. It's something the city can be proud of.
Absolutely.
Thanks for
Mr.
all your
Chair?
work.
Mhm.
Yes, Commissioner Zarnecki.
I do mirror the comments of of our city attorney. I want to thank Ms. Traxler for correcting me on the public hearing at the city council level, and I personally apologize to Mr. Bennett. My intent was not to mislead him. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so are we set with this? I think so. Okay.
Yep.
So we can move on to item 6B, which would be site plans and other reviews. And that would be site plan 21-002, Mike Magnoli on behalf of Tiffany Development Corporation, 33417 Kelly Road for proposed building addition. Is the petitioner present?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so if you can state your name and address for the record.
Mike Magnoli. I'm the owner of Tiffany Development, 59227 Van Dyke, Washington Township, Michigan, 480.
Okay, if you can give us the background, is it Mr. Urbio going to do that, or?
I will,
I-
Chair Warnick, yes.
I have my engineer here, John DeLisla, also.
Oh, okay. Let's get his name and number too, and address. Or name and
Hi,
address.
Mr. Chairman. John DeLisla, I'm with PEA 58105 Van Dyke, Washington Township.
Thank you, John. All right, go ahead, Mr. Urbio.
Thank you. So 33417 Kelly Road is an industrial property north of 14 Mile. You see it in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, on the left, sort of from the driveway over to the garage that you see. That's a view from Kelly Road. And the aerial is below that. Outlined in red is the site of the proposed addition that we are discussing tonight. The proposal is to add 5,000 square feet of enclosed warehouse space to this building on the portion of the site that was housing the garage that we were looking at just a minute ago. So the building is proposed to potentially be subdivided for up to three tenants to be used for warehousing. The proposal adds 6 parking spaces and does some landscaping to the front yard. From our review perspective, the IR district is intended to primarily accommodate wholesale activities, warehouse, and industrial operations, whose effects are limited to the parcel that they are on. So the use is consistent exactly with the zoning district. This proposal presents no dimensional concerns from area bulk and setback. From the perspective of area bulk and setback, as I mentioned, the proposal adds 6 parking spaces, which is the amount that would be required by the zoning, since the tenants are not identified to our knowledge. The final parking compliance would be handled through the certificate of occupancy process at a later date, but the proposal is compliant as it is proposed currently. The property shares a driveway with the property to the north. So one of our recommendations is that the applicant provide to the city a copy of a shared access agreement if it exists. If it does not exist, then one is created in a form that's acceptable to Mr. Andrews and the city attorney. As I had mentioned, the proposal adds landscape. The landscaping plan is not required, but the code states that any portions of the site in an industrial zone that are not designated for buildings, parking, or circulation are landscaped with or sodded. And so the proposal here leaves the mature trees that exist on the site, adds 3 Norway maples on the Kelly Road frontage, and the remainder is proposed to be irrigated lawn. A loading space is proposed in front of the warehouse doors. The code requires an area 10 feet by 50 feet, 500 square feet. The loading and receiving area is 750 feet as proposed, so that complies with the ordinance. There's an indication on the site plan submittal of some signs. The details were not applied here, but that can be handled administratively as well. The code states that the signs can either be approved at this stage or as part of an administrative review of a permit later. The addition to the building, you have the full elevation sheet in your packet that's proposed to be clad in brick, accents of aluminum, and then you can see on the north elevation the up to 3 tenant spaces that would be accommodated by 3 vehicle doors and 3 person doors on that north side. The city engineer, you also in your packets have the review of the city engineer. There's a few stormwater and water and sewer issues that will be resolved or I guess confirmed at the engineering plan review stage. So the second condition that we recommend is just that all the other required governmental approvals are obtained prior to building permit as part of the site plan approval.
Okay, does the petitioner have anything they wish to add to the planner's presentation?
Not at this time. He did a great job. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll bring it back to the board. Any comments or concerns?
I'm sorry, did I miss you in your recommendations? You said about the shared parking agreement?
Shared access agreement, yes, that is one of the recommendations that we have, that it's approved conditional on that access agreement being provided to the city and approved by the city attorney.
Mm-hmm. And in reading the city engineer's report, he says that they're going to have to do something about water retention. How does that piece of property accommodate that? Do you know?
I do not know. I don't know if the applicant can provide more detail.
Okay.
I can
The-
respond to that. He just noted that we'll have more hard surface area than what is existing. Therefore, that additional hard surface would have to be retained in an underground system, which you would assume would be in that lawn area in front of the building.
I'm sorry, I can't understand what you're saying.
The engineer was requiring some stormwater detention, which we could put in that lawn area in the front of the building or below the pavement and underground pipe storage.
Okay.
Any other questions for the petitioner?
Stormwater maintenance agreement must be executed between the property owner and the City of Fraser. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Zarnicki.
we asked the petitioner, is there an existing tenant in your building? And if he knows what type of tenancy he does expect in that building?
This new building is going to be built on spec, but I would assume it'll be warehousing, just like the current tenants are in the older building right now. They're have furniture and doing some warehousing in there. So I'm building this new building on spec, but I would assume that's the kind of tenant we're going to get as well.
Mr. Magnoli, this is parking. I visited the site twice. There is a lot of parking, I'm assuming, from your tenants to the north.
Yes, they seem to use my side for his business because we have all that open space. I think he has like an auto repair business, and right now his vehicles are over there. I'm trying to be a good neighbor, but once we start construction, we're going to have to find a place for his vehicles. Those are not ours. But right now, he has several of his vehicles there at all times.
Right. I had the same concerns when I was there. The parking seems to be an issue. And you just said that you're building this to spec and you may have warehouse. Well, isn't the parking for warehouse different than the parking for office?
I don't know. We won't be building it for office use. So the warehousing, that's the tenant that will end up taking it, I'm sure.
Well, you understand if we approve it for warehousing, that's the only tenant you can let in there.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. The way you said it, I just didn't understand. If you knew that.
Yeah. Warehousing is all we want. We won't have any office space.
Okay.
Any other questions for the petitioner? Commissioner Zarnicki.
I would like to ask the administration, do we know if the tenants to the north, is that a special use with all the cars that are parked out there, or are they required special use? Or is it a permitted use, what they're using it use for now?
I believe it is, but I don't know for certain what their the status of the parking, of their compliance as far as parking goes.
Okay. And the driveway, the shared driveway is there, it could use some improvement. Is there a way that we can request that at this point with the application in front of us, or is that something that has to be addressed with the tenants, the other
You
tenants?
certainly can require, if it needs some repair work and things like that, you can make that a condition of approval of the site plan, I think. Particularly given the fact that there's a that a shared driveway agreement is going to be required, it seems appropriate that driveway be put in a good physical condition.
Thank
I
you,
will,
Mr. Andrews.
I was gonna add that too, because you can look at the old, by the old, overhead doors. It's definitely retaining water because it's all beat up there and the water flows right down. I'm surprised. I don't even know if there's a tenant in that far west one, but that's the worst one. So, Mr. Magnoli, did you have plans to redo that, resurface that area?
Yes, sir. We are doing it currently. If it's not done due to this weather, that's the exact problem we have. I haven't been out there in the last couple of days because of the rains, but if it has not been replaced, it will be replaced next week. We have a dry week. So what you're requesting, I have no issues because we're doing it currently.
Okay, now also though, then the storm sewer that would be the retention area is going to go right into the storm system. So I don't know what's currently there. I can remember this area. We had a lot of, I got to commend you. What you're going to do is great, because I've had to deal with this as building official there for, many years with that garage and the site over there. And yeah, I'm sure it was detrimental to you getting tenants before. So this is going to be a big change, and I commend you for taking a stab at this down there and making this change. It's definitely been needed. Now, if we can get something to the north a little more, that's the only thing that scared me too, with them parking right on your grass and that. So I'm sure you're going to have some control over that. And
Couldn't
whether,
code enforcement help them out there?
yeah, I would say if they can, or a police department, it's going to be if you have somebody there that can at least call on vehicles that are parked there. I'm sure you could do that through public safety.
Yes, once we get over there, I'm gonna walk over there and try to be a nice neighbor and see it, that they'll work with us. I hope we don't have to go to those extremes, but they seem like nice gentlemen. They just know we don't need parking right now, so they're taking advantage of it.
And you do have a storage area in the back there. Now,
Yes.
who is that open to people there? Is that something you're doing? It's not a place where there's going to be any parking of vehicles or storage, outdoor storage of any type?
No, it's gated. I intend to just leave it empty. I don't have any use for that right now.
Okay. Okay, anybody else have any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, I have another question, if you would,
Yes,
please.
Commissioner Zarnicki.
Thank you. Trash, the trash enclosures, I guess I would like to ask the applicant if he is going to share the trash enclosures. I think there are 3 or 4 on the west side of the property, and they are not screened, and I don't know if they are required to be screened in this district.
That gated area is screened, our unit, but we don't have a trash receptacle because we're just the furniture and the storage and the warehousing that they're doing. They don't create any trash, so the dumpster's been removed. But in the future, if we ever needed one, that's where it would go in our screened off, fenced and gated, that little section to the those dumpsters that are out there are all the other tenants surrounding me.
Thank you, Ms. McNolly. So that is something that we can ask code enforcement to kind of look into also. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
I believe so, but is there any conditions
Or enclosures
by the planner to require, because people are going to have trash no matter what? You got bathrooms, they got, there's going to be trash accumulating. So what was in the original planning stage there.
That's it.
I mean, we didn't, there was no additional trash enclosure strategy. I think it's appropriate to, I guess to ask that be described more completely, or that you can require something of it. I believe that in industrial districts, screening is not required for trash enclosures.
But to the west of our building, ours is screened, gated, so we could designate that whole section for a dumpster.
So I guess that would have to be a condition, because I believe that I would require that, want that there to allow everybody to use that dumpster if they don't have, if they're not manufacturing and creating junk or trash. There's definitely going to be a requirement for trash of some type. What I worry about is you're getting somebody in there that manufactures and has a lot of trash. That's part of their byproduct. How is it going to be removed, or where's it going to be stored? I'm sure they're not going to have room inside the building, but there's got to be something there for them. And that, of course, we're not talking tenants, because you don't know your tenants right now.
Correct.
So we're just we
Mr.
got to
Chair,
be ready at that. Yes, Mr. Andrews.
it would seem to me that that would have to be evaluated once he knows who the tenant is and how much trash that tenant generates, because the site plan approval allows them to go forward with the approval of the site, but if somebody came in with a use, for example, that would require special approval land use, this site plan approval clearly doesn't give them that permission to do that. And if a user came in that generated a lot of trash generation, it seems that it would be appropriate, when that's reviewed by the city, to require that issue be addressed. And if there were things that needed to be modified in the site plan, then he'd have to come back to the planning commission to get approval of the modified site plan. But it's, at this point, it's kind of hard to know, because we don't know who the tenant is.
But at least he has a holding area that it could be put there. So thank goodness, because it could have been that you didn't have any area, and then there's no way. At least now you do have an area that could be used for that if a problem develops.
Yes, I agree. And John, if we could just designate that area on our site plan as our trash receptacle, that's where we will store it. It's plenty large enough. We could put a 30-yard roll-off in there.
Yes.
But we would never require that much.
Right.
So let's designate that on the site plan for us.
Okay. Anybody else? That could be a condition then. Nobody else? Any comments?
Good.
Does anybody want to make a motion?
And nobody else will, I move to accept the site plan. I'm looking for the number on here, SP 21-02, to approve that site plan as submitted, with the following conditions: that the applicant provide a shared access agreement with the adjoining property to the north, recordable form, satisfactory and approved by the city attorneys, that the applicant obtains other city and or government reviews and approvals as required. 3, that the common driveway be brought up to an acceptable level. And 4, that a designation for a trash disposal or dumpster area be provided on the site plan.
Anybody want to second that?
I'll
Support it?
second it.
So we got a motion by Commissioner Farina and support by, was it John Kyle? Commissioner Kyle?
No, Mr. Cook.
Oh, sorry, Commissioner Cook. I saw lips moving, I thought, on Commissioner Kyle. So,
Me and John look alike.
well, no, but the voice probably. Okay, so support by Commissioner Cook. Do we roll call?
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, I have one
Yes.
question. Is there anything that needs to be put in there about, was there a mention of a stormwater agreement?
It's under the city engineer
Engineering review.
review, and they have to, that's what the thing about the
Okay,
required city and or governmental reviews.
okay,
So
fair
that'd
enough.
be a condition of the permit process.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Farina,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Kyle,
You're off. Your mic's off, John.
no wonder we saw his lips moving,
Yeah, you
Yeah.
see my lips moving because I went to support it.
Slid in
Yeah.
there one.
and Secretary Perry,
Yes.
Chair Warnock.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Motion carries. And so thank you, Mr. Magnoli. It's I'm glad we're going to see something beautify that site. But we normally in a live thing, we would stamp your drawings and everything and give you a copy. But with the process now, it will go back to the offices. It'll get prepared by the planners, and I will have to go in and sign them before you get an official copy. So the planners they'll get a hold of you and let you know when it's ready.
I appreciate that. And thank you very much, every one of you, for your time this evening.
Congratulations.
Thanks for having faith in our city.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Okay. Now we go to 6C, the draft Roseville Master Plan Review. You want to give us a background on that?
Yes, Danielle is actually going to go into the detail, but I will just start by saying that the city of Roseville has drafted their master plan, and per the Planning Enabling Act has sent it to their surrounding municipalities for review. We read it sort of in the mindset of what could be shared goals or things to cooperate on in case the Planning Commission would like to comment.
Okay. Are there any comments from the members? Time if everybody went through what they provided. Nothing. If anybody then wants we need a motion of what kind of motion would we need for this, Mr. Andrews? Are you there? You're muted. There you are.
All right, I gotta find it. There, if the planning commission has any specific comments, then they ought to include those, but otherwise to submit something to the city of Roseville indicating that what issues they believe have been addressed in connection with it that are consistent with the city of Fraser's goals and objectives with respect to their master plan so that they understand that you've reviewed it and seen that there's a lot of common interests in with respect to issues that they are addressing in their master plan, and that you folks have already addressed in yours, because there is a lot of commonality.
So basically take the recommendations from McKenna and
Yep.
add that to your motion.
Yep. That's what I would do.
Okay. Anybody want to take a stab at that and make a motion?
Stab at it if you want.
Okay.
Move to have the planning commission clerk send a letter to the city of Fraser.
City of Roseville.
I'm sorry, city of Roseville, from us in the city of Fraser, outlining the recommendations of McKenna to as detailed on this pass
Review.
out that the review that they gave us.
Yep.
And that this be done within the next prior to our next meeting.
Anybody with support?
I'll support.
That I heard is
Now that
Commissioner
I have
Kyle.
the mic.
All right, I got a motion by Commissioner Farina, support by Commissioner Kyle. Roll call on that.
Commissioner Farina,
I object. No, I'm sorry. No, I yes.
great. Commissioner Kyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnicki,
Yes.
Secretary Perry,
Yes.
Chairman Warnick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Look, so we beat them to the punch though. So you can feel good about that. All right, thank you. So let's move on, go to number 7. There's no unfinished business. Number 8, public communications of non-agenda items. Did we have any public communications?
We did not.
We did not receive anything. So zoning board of appeals member liaison report.
We have had no meetings. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow night. We call that our yearly meeting. At that meeting, we'll look at nominations for officers and for, we have 3 actions. One for a wall sign for Happy's Pizza on Groesbeck, another for Best Tires, a wall sign for them, and a third one for on Everline Drive for somebody wishing to park a commercial vehicle in the residential area. And that is the extent of, like I said, we haven't met prior to this, and that's all I can tell you about, since we haven't had a public meeting, what's going to happen tomorrow night.
Where was that sign for a tire company? Where's that?
That was Best Tires wall sign. That's
Groesbeck.
yes, on Groesbeck.
Oh, okay.
I was just going to say, just down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks. So commissioner comments and items of interest or concerns. Let's start with Commissioner Barr.
Yes, I have. I want to thank the police and firemen and men and women publicly. I live on Garfield across from the park, and I watch the ambulances, the fire trucks, and the police speeding by. And at that time, I know somebody needs help, and help is on the way. With all the negative comments, all the negative publicity around our country today on TV and headlines, at least in Fraser, we need to tell them that we do appreciate them. I thank them, and I'm asking anyone else who feels the same way to maybe let them know they are appreciated. They could write a note, make a call, stop by the police station, and maybe just say thanks. And that's what I am doing publicly tonight. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Barr. That's very good. Commissioner Cook.
I'd like to apologize for being late this evening, but I am fully vaccinated as well as my parents. So I had to sit with them until they were both able to leave. So that's why I was late. So I wasn't playing around. It was serious business, but I do apologize, and I'm glad. Seems like I missed a lot at the beginning, so I'll have to go over the notes after the next meeting. So
Thanks for coming.
yep. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, Commissioner Zarnicki.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I heard a little bit of conversation before the beginning of tonight's meeting, and I have to say that I wasn't informed as to Ms. Traxler leaving, so I'm asking that maybe she'll share her information at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Farina.
Hi, we had conversation about the Dairy Queen at our last meeting, and that there was something going on there, and I'm not sure what's happening there in that. And that's one thing. Secondly, I've been asked several times what's happening with the hockey land. Is there any movement going to happen on that? And I told them I couldn't comment because I didn't know. And if you can share anything on that, that would be good. And that's about what I was looking for.
That's what we added to the agenda then. So if we can, let's take this moment right now for Mr. Urbiel to respond.
Sure. With respect to the Dairy Queen 33060 Grossbeck, the building official issued a report last week of several projects that he's tracking, and that building, the repairs that were required to the roof and the exterior painting has been done. It's for sale, and the building department is continuing to monitor the condition of the building as needed, checking in on a monthly basis, is what the report says. But the initial blight violations that were issued have been corrected, is my understanding. Hockeyland has been going through the, if you recall, as part of the site plan approval, there was a lot combination and then division proposed. That it's still in the lot combination process with the assessor, and I believe the latest is that they are waiting for updated survey drawings with that lot combination. We have had some conversation with the applicant. There was a new face on the developer side that we met with, and I believe that we'll have an update on that for your next meeting, but I'm not certain yet.
Okay.
Okay. And they can't really do anything till that property's joined.
Correct.
Yep. All right. Thank you. Commissioner Kyle.
Not at this time.
Nothing.
No.
Commissioner Perry.
Yeah, actually, I have a question. I've been contacted by a few people about the build on Utica. I'm assuming, I'm trying to remember, is it just north of Mulvey or just south? The apartment buildings or the condos?
Apartment buildings.
Apartments. People are saying that it's been stagnant for a while, and I didn't know if there was an issue with it or.
Good question. I do know that the original owner died in the past year, the original applicant, but that was way before. I don't know if that property got sold when the development did start. But I know Frank Karam passed away in the past year, but the process was going on after he passed away. So I'm guessing that because it took so long for that to go, I don't know if Paul can add anything, but I know how long it was a long process after approvals for that to even get started. But I know it's a big hole there, and it's not a very safe area for anybody walking around there.
I can't add anything right at the second as far as the status of it, but I'm happy to find out and send send that information along.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'll share the
Thank you.
address with Paul. Just since he wasn't involved, I'll get him up to speed on where that site is and everything.
Thanks, Sarah. And myself, I want to thank. I'm just so happy with this master plan, and McKenna and especially Sarah, Danielle, and Paul. You guys did a bang up job, man. It's something we're going to be proud of as it sits there. And when you can give that out to developers, it really looks professional. I'm so glad it took a long time, but going through that whole thing was worth it. I mean, that time is gone now. Now we got it, and now we can look for the future. Some I think pretty impressive things to hand out to somebody. So appreciate that. The only other thing I want to add is that I am going to miss Sarah. She came when I was still building official here, and we went through a lot. She really changed things around and made us even more professional, and everything you did, it's just I know it'll be carried on, but we are going to miss you, and thanks for everything you've done. And I know from this whole board, those thanks come.
Amen.
Thanks.
I'm getting tears in my eye.
Yep. So let's go right to Sarah.
Oh, you didn't give me any recovery time.
Well, okay, we'll start with Danielle.
Nothing other than just really excited to push this master plan forward, and it's been great working with you guys on this project, and I'm looking forward to implementation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul?
Only to say that we're really going to miss Sarah too, and we'll try to make sure that your level of service is unchanged, but figuratively big shoes to fill.
Are you leaving McKenna? Is that what this
Yes,
is?
I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm recuperated. So
Did everybody get that? Did
no,
everybody?
Randy,
No.
I'm so I
Oh.
forwarded it. So the letter went out yesterday, informing city administration, and we included the chairs of the planning commission and zoning board. So
I'm sorry.
we can forward that around if you would like, Chair Warreneck, just so everyone has a copy of it. So I actually don't have another job lined up. I am, after almost 16 years with McKenna and being a planner, looking forward to trying to pull off a little bit of a career change. I'm hoping to go into the philanthropy field. I would love to work for a local or regional foundation in Southeast Michigan, or I'm not planning on moving, or for like a arts or cultural or environmental large nonprofit or institution. So sort of adjacent to what we do, I think, serving the residents of our area, but just kind of in a little bit of a different field. So since I don't have the same kind of networks and experience, I really did some long thinking about it and figured that I should probably take the time off to do it, because I can't really do my job and properly kind of get into that field. So plan B is that I'll be back. being a planner. So, I definitely never say never. So I've just enjoyed working with you all.
Too.
Oh.
We wish you well. I kind of thought you didn't really say what, so I thought maybe you're starting a family or something.
That you're not the first person to say that. That's so funny. No, we wanted to kind of just represent that I'm not going, kind of to just take another planning job somewhere else. I'm just so grateful for all of the experience I've gotten with McKenna, and very much still so invested in the specific work that our firm does, and in the way that we've done business and served our client communities over time. We would have been more specific if I had a job lined up, but we can't just say, she's taking time off to figure out what's next, but that's sort of the truth.
I'm sure you'll do a great job for anybody that you get connected with. You are an outstanding person.
I think I speak for all of them. We would appreciate it, since I know you're gonna not have the same email because of McKenna's.
Yeah.
If you could forward, you have our emails.
Sure. Yes,
And if you
that's
could
very
forward your email, and
I will.
keep us up to date.
That sounds great. I will when I'll send out the letter to you all tonight or tomorrow, and I'll give my contact info in there. Oh, you can always, if you happen to lose that email, you can call the McKenna office and they'll put you through to me too.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
it's very much that type of a goodbye.
Are they letting you keep your phone?
Yeah. Now that minutes are free, we don't get company phones, right? So yes. But I've loved working with you all, and I'm just so pleased that you have Paul and Danielle, hopefully, for as long as possible virtually. I just think I think that everything is going great, and that there's great things in your future. But individually, it's been such an honor.
You did start the ball rolling.
Oh, well, I guess, Randy, you kind of did too. I mean, all of you. I would just say, I work with a lot of different planning commissions, and you all, I just think, as someone mentioned earlier, you are very professional, but just, warm. And I just really like your style. And I would say, like, keep it up.
It's been a pleasure. Good luck, Sarah.
It has.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, good. Alyssa.
I want to wish Sarah the best. It's been an absolute pleasure. You welcomed me with open arms and definitely helped me out learning the ropes, as did, of course, Mr. Andrews. But I wish you all the best and echo absolutely everything that the commissioner said.
Thank you.
Thanks. And let's finish up with Clark.
I would also like to wish Sarah the best. I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of planners and consultants during my many years of doing planning and zoning related stuff, and she is really top drawer, and we're going to miss her. I'm sure that Paul and the McKenna team are going to do their very best to fill her shoes. It won't be easy. I think that she brought a vision to the City of Fraser's work and enthusiasm toward it that was unparalleled, and I just think that that's been an amazing contribution. She's made amazing contributions to the city, and I have enjoyed working with her a lot, and I hope that my path will cross hers again in the future. And because I've been involved in some nonprofit stuff in my free time, which I don't have much of, but neither does she. So, but anyway, I wish her only the best, and it's really been an extreme pleasure to work with her.
Thank you, Clark.
Thanks, Clark. And I'm sure we hate this Zoom thing because we can't give you a big hug.
Yep.
There's our big hug from all of us.
Yep.
Thanks again. Yeah, I entertain now a motion for adjournment.
Hey, before you do, Sarah, can you give me a call on my cell phone after this?
Yes, of course.
All right, thank you.
Okay, yes.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
I didn't catch that second.
John, second.
John again. Okay. You guys are a regular pair.
Yeah. Do you want to
Okay.
see our show act?
Yeah. The motion to adjourn by Commissioner Farina, supported by Commissioner Kyle. Let's do a quick roll call. Sarah's last roll call for us.
Commissioner Farina,
Aye.
Commissioner Kyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnecki,
Yes.
Secretary Perry,
Yes.
and Chair Warnick.
Yes.
Motion
And
carries.
thank you very much. And
Sarah, good
all-
luck.
Thank
Yep,
you,
very
everyone.
good luck.
Thank you so much.
And
Everybody
all
have a
have a
good
good
night.
night. Do we,
Night.
oh, real quick before we already adjourned, but do we have anything on the agenda for next month?
Not as of yet, but I think there
Okay.
may be.
Okay.
Just have to see what comes in.
All right. Sounds good. I just wanted to see if there was something.
How
in
much
the
longer
works.
before we get to go back to City Hall?
Yeah.
Nobody can answer that
Not
question.
sure.
Yeah.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Have a good night.